Well, without further ado, I'm going to bring in Mr. Vinnie from Disclosure Team. How you doing?
I'm good, bro. How are you, man?
Good, pretty good. Thanks for
Good,
asking.
good.
I think we have one more person who's supposed to join us. So, no, I'm not going to play it again. I'm just
I
kidding.
love that little tune, though, dude. I do. But I get you.
All right. Without further ado, here comes James engaging the phenomenon. How you doing, sir?
Whee!
Thanks
How's
for
it going,
joining us.
guys?
Good. How are you?
Good.
You look
Is my
like
sound all right?
yeah.
Yeah.
It looks like you got
Okay.
stronger since I saw you last.
Uh,
Good to see you, James.
likewise.
Yeah. So thanks for coming on, guys. I thought it'd be interesting to get your takes on some of the latest releases. I think Bassett kind of made a good point to me that you know Bad Robot. You may not like the documentary, but they put a lot of money into it. A lot of people saw it. Word of mouth. More people say it, talk about it. The more things kind of manifest. But what do you guys think, James? What do you think of, let's say, the Showtime doc? If you've gotten to watch any,
Yeah, sure. I mean,
I didn't watch.
obviously, the production value was really awesome, right? I love to see the UFO subject covered. I mean, the soundtrack and everything was awesome. They kind of made epic scenes and tried to drive a message.
Yeah.
But at the same time, so that's what some people have a issue with, is that some people feel that it's narrative driven and they're trying to paint a certain picture. Some people even think it's something like, an op of some kind where they're trying to spin narrative. And I mean, I don't know. I thought they did an all right job for what it was. I think, yeah, the main thing here is it's going to spread awareness.
Yeah.
But generally what I see people's concern is like, what is that message?
Right.
I didn't feel that they were tampering too much with trying to paint a message that was trying to control the narrative too much.
Okay.
But everybody has their own opinion on it. Again, overall, I think that they included a lot of good kind of background. I could see where they had some things off in the narrative, but it's J.J. Abrams. It's not he's not a UFO expert. So
right.
We're gonna get his vision, really. I don't think he was like opted and somebody said, hey, J.J. Abrams, make sure you do this, and this, and script it this way. I think he just tried to make a unique presentation of his own, and that's how it came out. He might have got some advice from people, but
right, for the MJ12 stuff, maybe.
Yeah, I felt like there were some caveats needed in some of the areas that were talked about, because they kind of made a few things seem like they were completely legit.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. It's not by UFO guys for UFO guys. It's by people from kind of Hollywood, pretty much making it for entertainment for the public, and I forget that a lot of the time. So that's why I can't get too mad.
Yeah, well, and if let's say one of us made it, right? I mean, some people are going to say, "Holy shit!" They just went down so many rabbit holes. It's like the public is not going to be able to keep up with that.
No, exactly.
And I don't mean that in like an elitist way.
Of course,
it's just like they're not. We take for granted what we know in a lot of things, and like they'll show one image in passing and say a sentence about it, and we can go on for 2 hours about that case.
Yeah,
it's an entire case that you have to kind of unwrap, and I think with the time they had, they did all right. And I mean, most of all, what I hope is that people see it and they say, this is something real and it's interesting. Let me look further, and I think that's the best that you can hope to come out of something like that.
Yeah, absolutely. One thing that really kind of still is confusing me is they used a lot of footage and stuff focused on Lou and Mellon, but they weren't involved. Like,
I know, right? Yeah.
so
I was wondering that, like, why? How come Lou is not in this?
it's
They just
J.J. Abrams. They've got the money to get Lou and
Yeah.
Mellon involved, and they focused on Lou and Mellon quite a bit. So why didn't they just reach out?
That's
That's
interesting.
confusing. That's confusing.
That is,
Well-
yeah. I was wondering the same thing.
You never really know with this stuff, right? What their intent is or what they're really trying to do. I think when it was first kind of discussed that this was going to happen, I think, as always, at least what I observed, and I was maybe guilty of that too. You get your hopes up, like it's gonna be another big piece of something somehow, you know.
Yeah.
And that's probably my own fault, of course, but I think when you do that in something that you watch goes in such an opposite direction for people, like a lot of people, this did, that's pretty disappointing. And morale can really hurt, and it shouldn't off of something like that.
Yeah, I mean, people should know by now that, like, when you see one of these TV productions,
Yeah,
anybody who's deep into research knows more than a guy who's spent his life producing and directing film, right?
Mhm.
So that's what he does.
Yeah,
And he's depending on people, I guess, to, you know,
right.
inform him, and he's probably listening to different people. They're giving him different ideas. He's trying to include what he thinks makes sense. I mean, I there's barely ever that I can think of, like, other than like the UFO cover up live in like the 1980s or whatever, something like in a documentary that's like, that just broke everything we've known as researchers, right? I mean,
Right.
it never really happens.
True.
There's some instances where it's like there's cool new tidbits of information, and James Fox has included different footage that was never seen before, and that's like awesome for us as researchers. But
Right.
if you're any kind of mainstream production never has like a revelatory effect where it's like, oh my god, I never knew this.
Yeah.
That's
True.
that's like, for from a researcher standpoint.
Yeah,
So
I feel
is it-
like sorry, Sean. I was just
No,
going to
go
say
ahead.
the trailer for J.J. Abrams' series really predominantly featured Kevin Day, Gary Voorhees, and I was
Mhm.
thinking this is going to be good. Yes, there were a couple of clips of some fake or hoax, UFO footage that we all know are that, but I brushed that aside and
Yeah,
focus on the Kevin Day aspect in that, and then obviously they were featured in it, and it was a little bit. They were featured a bit in towards the end of episode 1, bit of 2, 3, and 4. But then, without being too much of a spoiler, episode 3 was a massive curveball for me. With I forget the guy's name, the MUFON guy was like, "Whoa!"
oh yeah.
Like,
I'm not too familiar with him. I can't recall. I'm not a big MUFON guy.
no, I'm not.
Never
That
have been,
sounds like-
never will be.
That sounds like a shirt. I'm not
Yeah.
a big MUFON guy. I'm just kidding.
No, it's
Yeah.
ever since I got involved in this, I never, I don't know.
It's
I mean, I'm a millennial, and the idea of institutions and organizations
true.
aren't attractive to me in that way. And actually, when I first got involved in being more public and stuff, I used to go to meetings in New York City, and it wasn't a MUFON meeting, but there were people there who had submitted their cases, like video footage and stuff, to MUFON, and they told me, like, oh, their stuff disappeared.
Yeah, I've heard that
Their
before.
stuff disappeared. And so
Oh.
from the very beginning, I was just like, and I, for some reason, even with my own experiences, I was never like, I need to report this to MUFON. Never.
That's interesting that you say that, because that never crossed my mind, like reporting anything even at all.
Yeah.
No.
For whatever reason.
Yeah, I was never like, I need to report this to a UFO organization, because it's like,
911.
yeah,
I got something rocking my world here. A dream came true, right? That's the first part, and then
Yeah.
What? Yeah. No, I get
yeah.
that.
So it's I'm not familiar with that gentleman, but yeah, I mean, I get they're trying to kind of play different perspectives on this, and
So well, let me ask you this. So at what point does something do more harm than good, right? So if it gets a lot of eyes and it's a big production, but it's not done the right way, and people leave with maybe a perspective that could be more destructive to truth than not, like when is that line crossed?
I don't know, man.
yeah,
I mean, they just didn't need that real intense thing to happen in episode 3.
Not
Tell
saying
the
they did either, just
I
tell.
think that's their attempt to keep people in for the 4th episode. Be like, there's got to be more than this,
Yeah, maybe, maybe. I
right?
don't
Just like
know.
dramatic effect. I don't know, but yeah,
It's strange. I don't know.
yeah, it was. And then that's the episode that they had Dodie, right?
Oh God.
So
Yeah.
I mean, they were really. I mean, it's clear that with that episode, they were trying to do something. Maybe it's partially lost on us. I mean,
Yeah, but
it's
Dodie brings up Project Serpo as well. I mean,
yeah.
you're getting some real storytelling.
Well, yeah, and it's like there's questions like, did he create that? Right? Did he
Yeah.
fabricate that? Um,
yeah.
yeah, that episode was like I don't know. It was like kind of the strangest of all of them, and it was right before the last one. So I
I don't
think
know.
yeah.
All right, time to smile. How about Ross Coulthart's documentary? That was great.
Oh man, I see. I watched that when it first came out. I
Yeah,
watched
Look
that.
at us. I'm gonna have to do a snapshot of before and after.
Yeah, that was epic. I mean that is kind of made by somebody like one of us, right?
Yeah.
Right?
As far as I mean, but except the guy was a 60 Minutes reporter, um,
Yeah,
and knows how to present a story to an audience on television,
really well.
and is a killer investigator.
Yeah.
And he is asking the right questions to the right people and being able to communicate that to an audience in a really powerful way, I think.
Yeah.
So that what is that one called? The Phenomenon too, right?
Yeah.
It's the Phenomenon.
Just to
Yeah.
keep
the
us,
UFO phenomenon.
just to keep us confused. But
He did a
Yeah.
great, consistent job with calling everything UAP, from his book to the documentary.
You mean he
know.
called them UAPs?
UAPs and the unidentified phenomenon. Yeah,
Yeah.
Tom DeLonge you got in there. Crikey,
No,
it
I
was
love
the
that
Nazis.
accent though.
Yeah, me
But-
too. It's fun.
It's awesome.
I think a good thing about his take and his documentary is the way it progressed from the start. We learn about this big case in Australia with the witness Annie, and it's the Naval Communications Station Harold E. Holt, which is this behind me where there's that big triangular sort of craft.
You're live.
I'd not
there
heard
right
that
now?
before. Yeah, I'm
Whoa,
live here right now. Just
Crazy.
just been hanging with Ross, but he had to go and do more appearances.
Oh, yeah.
And then
No
it
win
goes
there,
into the then it goes into the Lou and Melon type of stuff that we all we see a lot of. And then the way it ends or goes towards the end with the Westall school case from '66.
Yeah.
Really watchable. The whole
It's
thing
the
was
first time
smooth.
The teacher, I think, has gone on record.
Yeah, I think it might have been as well. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I don't think he's ever come forward before. So
Mhm.
so that was like a big exclusive thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
And
right.
he was silenced.
Mhm.
Yeah, exactly. That's why you can understand he's been hesitant for quite a long time, or a very long time, should we say?
Yeah, they said, listen, if you think you saw what you saw, you might have been drinking, and that's bad for your career.
Yeah.
And they, I think that Ross did a great job in like showing that whole aspect, and overall, I'm glad he went there. Right? I mean, that's roll of the dice for some people. It's like, am I going to go that far? And that's the one thing I love about Ross is like the guy's not pulling any punches. He's going for the story.
Yeah.
From those kind of close encounter experiences to the technology to crash retrievals. I mean, the guy's going for broke, like genuinely. He's really after the story. So,
He is. And he thinks there's a genuine cover up. That's interesting when somebody is so good at investigating as he is, and not, just this in all different areas. And he comes up with that conclusion. So it's not partial to any scenario. and that's what he comes up with. I mean, that's powerful to me. That's huge.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and I think with the documentary and the book, I mean, the idea is like the cover up aspect. Like, I think most people get it, but he's able to concisely and clearly show his work.
Yeah.
You know,
Mhm.
like for us, it's like we get to that point and it's harder to communicate because, you know, not all of us are journalists. You know, how we got from A to B to, you know, categorize our investigation.
Right.
Where
Yeah,
he
it's a
was
mess
able
for me, basically. Yeah.
to kind of show, yeah. Well, he was able to show his story in like a way where like a reader or a viewer can watch and like see how he came to that conclusion.
Yeah.
Oh, you know, is it Christian? That's
Yeah.
a great point. I just watched this before the Ross stuff even happened. That's so funny.
I've not seen that. I mean, I'm obviously
The
familiar with Robbie Williams. I've not
yeah,
seen the Ross interview with him.
apparently.
Yeah, I'm not.
Well, yeah, that's interesting. We'll have to check that out. Thanks, Chris.
I think another good thing about Ross as well is he's obviously got his sources that he cannot, you know, divulge in that. But I think he gets a pass on this a little bit because of his approach to talking about the things that they've told him, which he's quite forthcoming with to a level. And he's obviously got good connections in the UK, in Australia through the military services as well as the US. But he's just, I don't know, he's just good. He's just good.
Yeah, well, he knows how to pull on your kind of like your emotions too. Like when he was with me and he went through his story about how he was younger and looked up to, you know, us for landing on the moon and all our accomplishments and how that's kind of changing. Like that intent is to drive a point home, you know, and for you to get it like, look, everybody looked up to you and that's changing. You know, you know, you need to start doing something about this stuff. He made a point to say how Aussie soldiers or whatever, whatever, we're telling them that the Americans are up to something, basically. You know, it's us. So it's like at some point, like if you're our government, you have to save face or at least worry about like the complete embarrassment, like because you should already be embarrassed, but now it's even going farther. And with the internet and how fast everything is now, they just can't keep it a secret.
James, did you speak to Ross? I can't remember.
I didn't do a public interview with him. That's what you mean.
I was going to say, because one thing I like about Ross is he's done quite a lot of interviews recently with a few of us, and every single one is really different, which is amazing.
Yeah.
Now that makes me think that you need to speak to him, James, because you'll get something out of him that no one else has, because you've done that before with Lou and that.
Yeah.
So if there's ever another Ross interview we need, it's a Jamesy and Dolly one.
I'm going to end up interviewing him probably, you know, in Octoberish when his book is coming to the US in paper.
Sure.
But yeah, I've known Ross for a few years now. You know.
Yeah.
And we've had a lot of conversations, and he's a great guy. And I'm gonna have a unique interview with him.
Nice. That's what I want to hear. That's what I want to hear.
Awesome. So you just start with slide 9.
That's a good angle. That's a good angle, man.
Yeah.
I like that.
Just start it right away.
He'll want to go there, but
yeah.